For the second Lines Amtrak Needs video in a row, I'm proposing expanded service in the Pacific Northwest. I guess I'm in my Pacific Northwest era on this channel. And I'm continuing that Pacific Northwest era by proposing a line that I alluded to in a previous video. A line from Boise to Seattle with stops in between. Assuming that you didn't leave my video due to my dubious attempt at Swiftie language, let's outline what this line might look like. The southern eastern terminus of this Boise to Seattle line is in Boise, of course. Boise has 235,000 people as of the 2020 census, and it is rapidly growing. Improving transit connectivity to and from Boise seems like a logical thing to do, given its large population size and rapid growth. Just west of Boise, I'd have a stop in Meridian, a city of about 117,000 people. It is a rapidly growing city. For some perspective, in 1990, just a few years before I was born, Meridian didn't even have 10,000 people. I've come across a lot of rapidly growing cities in my research for this channel, but that is a rate of growth I don't think I have ever come across. The following stop would be in Nampa, a city of about 100,000 people. Nampa is about 20 miles west of Boise and is considered part of the Boise metro area as well. The following stop would be in Caldwell. It has a population of about 60,000 people, and this is the last of the stops on this route in the Boise metro area. We've only listed off 4 stops, and we've already served over 500,000 people. And we're just getting started. The following stop would be in Ontario. No, not the Canadian Ontario. Ontario, Oregon. Just west of the Idaho-Oregon border. Ontario, Oregon has a population of over 11,000 people. I should note, however, that this stop wouldn't just serve Ontario. It would also serve the nearby cities of Fruitland, Idaho, which has about 6,900 people, and Payette, Idaho, which has about 8,100 people. The train then crosses back into Idaho and follows the Snake River to its next stop in Weiser, Idaho. It has a population of about 5,500 people. I learned in research for this video that this was another one of those towns either built around or grown by the railroad. Man, it is really depressing how many former railroad towns lack passenger rail. After hugging the Snake River some more, the line eventually decides to go into Oregon and stay in Oregon for a little while. Much more switching between states, and then it would feel like this line is flip-flopping states like politicians flip-flop their positions on important issues. There would be a stop in Baker City, Oregon, which has a population of just over 10,000 people as of the 2020 census. The city is apparently named after the only sitting United States senator to die in combat. And that combat was while fighting for the Union in the American Civil War. Anyway, this is a train video and not a history lesson, so back to this proposed train route. The next stop would be in La Grande, with a population of about 13,000 people. It's also home to Eastern Oregon University. Between La Grande and the metro areas of southern Washington, we have a bit of a routing dilemma. The existing trackage in place has 2 problems. First, it avoids Walla Walla, Washington, which is a city of about 34,000 people. And second, it is a rather twisty route between La Grande and southern Washington. The dilemma around Walla Walla is what I call the Walla Walla, Washington worries. As the terrain is pretty rugged in this part of Oregon, the twisty trackage may very well be a byproduct of said terrain. So I think I'll keep the path outlined by the current route, twisty trackage and all. And as for the Walla Walla, Washington worries, I'll explain how I plan on dealing with that later in this video. In any event, the next stop would be in Pendleton, Oregon, which has a population of about 17,000. The following stop would be in Hermiston, Oregon, which has a population of just over 19,000 people. Unfortunately, the tracks for this route only go through the outskirts of Hermiston, so transit connectivity and walkability could use a little improvement, to put it mildly. The train then heads into Washington, and the first stop would be in Kennewick, which is part of what's known as the Tri Cities area. There may be some people asking, well, why not Pasco? As Pasco already has an Amtrak station. The answer is simple. If you're to follow the train trackage between Boise and Seattle, the location of the Pasco Amtrak station is just not compatible with this route. It's unfortunate, but that's the situation. However, if someone with map skills has an idea of how to address this issue better than I have, please tell me. This Kennewick station would serve that city, Pasco, and Richland, combined for a metro area of about 250,000 people. As such, Kennewick is the most important stop since the Boise metro area. Kennewick would also have a shuttle train to and from Walla Walla, which would explain how I would address the Walla Walla, Washington worries. Between Kennewick and Yakima, the line splits in two because there's no way to cut one unified path that includes all the cities that should be included on this line. The northern branch of this line, between Kennewick and Yakima, would follow Interstate 82, more or less. The branch would have the following two stops: Grandview, which has about 11,000 people, and Sunnyside, which has over 16,000 people. However, I should note that the northern branch tracks don't go quite all the way to Yakima, so you'll need to build trackage so that the northern and southern branches can unite before going to Yakima. The southern branch of this line between Kennewick and Yakima would follow US 97, more or less. This branch would have the following three stops: Prosser, which has about 6,000 people, Toppenish, which has over 8,800 people, and Wapato, which has about 4,600 people. By the way, apologies if I mispronounce anything here. RFR, ProRail, poor pronunciation. In any event, these two branches reunite at Yakima, which has a population of about 96,000 people. Its metro area has about 250,000 people. Fun fact, the valley Yakima is in grows most of the nation's hops. So if you like your American beer, you can thank the Yakima Valley. The following stop is in Ellensburg, which has about 18,600 people. It's home to Central Washington University as well, a sizable university in its own right. Between Ellensburg and the Seattle area, it's sparsely populated and mountainous, so this is the last stop before heading into the Seattle area. Speaking of the Seattle area, I'd have a stop in Tukwila in suburban Seattle. Tukwila has a population of about 21,800 people, and is already a stop for the Amtrak Cascade service. Last, but not least, I'd have a stop at Seattle's King Street Station. This is the major train station for Seattle, so it is only logical that I'd have the last stop for the line there. Before getting to my thoughts on this line, I ask people to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content on imagining better rail transit in the United States. Now, back to the video. Here are some thoughts I have around this line. First and foremost, while Boise to Seattle is not the flashiest connection in the world, it is heavy hitting in terms of the size of population served by this line. Like, we're talking about serving over 500,000 people before we even get out of the Boise area. And then we get to the Tri Cities area of Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland. As a stop there, would serve about 250,000 people. And then there's the Yakima area, which serves another 250,000 people. And then, of course, you have the real heavy hitter, which is Seattle. And I propose this specific route because airport statistics show that there is clearly a lot of travel demand between these growing cities and metro areas. For example, 368,000 passengers a year travel from Boise Airport to Seattle Tacoma International Airport, 189,150 passengers a year travel from the Tri Cities Airport in Pasco to Seattle. And there are 13 flights between Seattle and Yakima every week. And that's before we even talk about the people who drive between these areas. I think that there is also potential for massive future growth of train ridership, as the Boise, Tri Cities area, and Seattle metro areas all have quickly growing metro area populations. There comes a point when adding more highway lanes is only going to help so much, and you have to turn to other forms of transit. Other forms like, I don't know, trains. And I do have hope that this line can come to fruition. Oregon and Washington, two of the three states involved with this proposed line of mine, are two of America's better states around transit policy. The National Resources Defense Council ranks both states solidly within the top 10 in the category of expanding transportation choices. Makes sense that Oregon is high up. Perhaps the influence of City Nerd is still around. Many of you know about him, but in case you don't, he's an urbanist YouTube star who worked at Oregon DOT for a time. Idaho, the third state this line would cover, doesn't rank so highly in this regard. But it seems like many of the more powerful forces in Idaho politics have been behind a Boise to Salt Lake City line. So, at least in theory, there's a certain receptiveness towards routes that connect to Boise. The fact that I can easily see Oregon, Washington, and Idaho all being receptive to this project idea is important for one simple reason: the way these sorts of Amtrak routes get funded. This would be a state supported route, as it would be an Amtrak route 750 miles or less in length. Given that fact, a lot of the funding is going to come from Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. And the fact that I can see all three states being open to such a line gives me hope that this line can come to fruition. I feel like I've thus far talked about a bunch of good news showing why this line is likely to become important and or why the line is likely to exist. So it's a done deal. A slam dunk, right? Not quite. Getting three people to agree on anything can be a chore at times, to put it mildly, even when all three people broadly agree on something in principle. Likewise, in this set of circumstances, getting all three of these states to consistently be on the same page here could offer its own set of challenges. I don't know what those challenges might be, but I could see there being challenges. And there's another issue. There's advocacy for all of these cities to be connected to the Amtrak network, but significantly less noise around connecting these cities in the way I propose it here. The Federal Railroad Administration's long distance rail study proposes connecting Kennewick and Yakima to Seattle by way of a route that doesn't go through Boise. And said study also proposes connecting Boise to Seattle by way of a route that goes through Northern Oregon and Portland. While I've seen advocacy groups like All Aboard Washington push for this route that I'm proposing here, such advocacy doesn't seem to be reaching those with power. At least not yet. Because of this, I give it a 5 out of 10 chance that this line will come to fruition in the next 50 years. There's a decent chance I give of this line coming to fruition just because the Boise to Seattle via Tri Cities corridor is growing so rapidly that it may become impossible to ignore. However, the lack of attention on a route akin to what I propose here is a bit concerning. And on that note, thank you everyone for watching today's video.